Driving and biking to any remote corner of the Khasi and Jaintia hills has become quite popular now, especially amongst the many who have the means and passion to explore new destinations. What drives these visits to far-flung villages relatively unknown to the outside world? Is it just the joy of driving and riding, or is it the natural landscapes that attract people from all over to immerse themselves in nature? Most of the visitors from other parts of the country and overseas, as well as from within the state, travel long distances by road and trek difficult trails just to catch a glimpse of a waterfall or a double-decker rootbridge, a cave, or to experience a boat ride on crystal clear waters of a river. Whatever the reason for wanting to travel and explore, the fact remains that human beings yearn for adventure and discovering something new. It's the monsoon season and the rain accompanies us as we travel to a faraway village in Jaintia Hills, where I've heard stories of its root bridges, caves, trekking trails, and rare indigenous culture. We are on the way to Nongbareh Village, passing through the outskirts of Jowai across the Mintadu River and heading southwest to Tlumubi, Jarang and Amlarem. It is approximately 90 kilometers from Shillong to Amlarem and another 25 kilometers to Nongbareh, taking us more than 3 hours by road. We pass Amlarem and take a right turn, continuing a journey through the War Jaintia Area. The rain has been reduced to a drizzle, but it was still cloudy and foggy as we pass Padu village and the grassy patches of land along the road. The road up to Nongbareh is black-topped and in good condition. Soon we entered the village, which sits on the edge of a plateau overlooking the Khasi hills to the west and the plains of Bangladesh in the south. Nongbareh is one of the oldest villages in the War Jaintia region. It is made up of the older Nongbareh Rim and the newer Nongbareh Lintiar. The river Amlaye divides the two settlements and forms the main feature of the landscape in Nongbareh. There are a total of 180 households, of which the majority of the population are Christians and only about 20% are of the indigenous faith. The residents are mostly farmer cultivators whose livelihood depend on cultivation of broomgrass, betel nut, betel leaf and other crops. It's a beautiful village that is surrounded by greenery all around and a river passes through its heart. The houses are mostly sturdy looking single-storied structures with trees and plants growing in the garden and courtyards. The other landmark besides the river Amlaye is the old Ficus Bridge in the middle of the village called Jinkiengjiri Ammosai. According to the village elders, it's a very old bridge, some 400 years old. The prominent feature of the root structure is the ficus tree at one end, which dominates the landscape. Its limbs, like branches, stretch and spread out. The old tree's roots anchor themselves on one side of the river, while at the other end, the roots are embedded on the bedrock that runs along one side of the Amlaye river. Another feature of the tree is that There are very few hanging roots around, as found in other younger bridges. The bridge does not have any root cables nor trusses that support and suspend the bridge from above. It is a narrow walkway, the main deck inlaid with flat stones, while the entire length of the bridge on both sides is secured with a guardrail of fused roots that have amalgamated over hundreds of years.
This is a 400-year-old bridge, the Jinkingjiri Ammosai, and it connects two villages which are actually one, Nongbareh Rim and Nongbareh Lintiar. Come with me as I take you around this beautiful village.
The Jinkingjiri Ammosai is probably the oldest root bridge in the vicinity, but till date there have not been any attempts to find the age of any of the root bridges in the Khasi and Jaintia hills because of the complex nature and structure of the organism that is different from other trees. Southwest of Nongbareh, the land slopes into the steep Umngot River valley. It's a verdant green landscape intersected by rivers and streams and a series of waterfalls all along. From a height, the village overlooks Amkoi village, just a short distance away, sitting atop a mountain ridge. Further to the south, one can catch a portion of the Umngot River as it passes through Nongbareh Village.
Kajing dan kam jongi hang ne apok senang ngi ka senang hang ne Nongbareh Rim ngi dang yalong kawe na kaliang ka Presbyterian duk kaju na kaliang Katolik duk kaju na kaliang ganim tre duk kaju kijing dan kam jonga hang ne apok senang ki surak ru ki dan kam mrei na kiliang ki bam ki di ki ru kijing dan kam.
Kaya kabay baka kwat kakya pia don ka sub center hang ne te kata sub center ka yat be ya inti ne kumno.
Menta te kadang long be hitang inang kwa ban pen kentiu su kam sejerang. Rada dia kam kibajor kita kijing pang. Habra sa umlarem ne sa jowai. Na selong ro kumjo. Rei na dispensary kimla banle
Kani ka kam turis kadon kam si syah pok senong jongi. Ban penkiu ya ka yok ka kot ka yok kam yok jam ki samla kham tam gitu ki bom yok kam yok jam ki bala pendep ki jing pole jing ki bat sibun ki jing kerkho ki khmit lenti da ka bangi le yang ne kam turis te ngi sane don kawa ki kenja krem ru don hi nang ta kini ki living bridge ru ki don hi te hang tu hawa ngi la ban le da ka da ki bot nang ta hang tu ki turis ki la ban pen berngia.
Kaya kabay bade bat ka culture hang ne po senong jumpi. Pidon ban ong.
Manus ni ngi pelong kata kasyat rong kusi. Kani kadai kasyat tenrai ka jongi. Ban pen pau ta ka culture ka jongi. Ka baki long shwan shwa ki sat le. Ta hadu bentangi ngi kwa ban penek pensa ya kani ka rong ro.
Beyond the blue hills and on the horizon lies the plains of Bangladesh, most of the land covered with water. I am totally immersed in the natural green surroundings of Nongbareh Village. It has been researched and proven that being in the midst of this environmental biodiversity helps build up an immune system, thereby preventing depression, suicidal thoughts, and chronic dysfunction, which is widely prevalent in the cities. Education of the young is quite well entrenched in the village, and around 95% of the population are literate in Nongbareh. There are 4 lower primary schools, 1 upper primary, and 1 high school. The 2 villages of Amkoi and Khongla are closely linked to the older village, and they are offshoots and extensions of Nongbareh Village. The 3 villages are socially, culturally, and economically connected. Nongbareh is the home of the Doir Core or 9 clans. They are the Polong, Ba and Shui, Pokhlia, Talang, Sumer, Lamin, Poti and Pokchai clans. These clans have their presence in all the 3 villages. After some time, we interacted with the younger generation who were curious and excited by our presence in their village. The elderly were initially reluctant in their behavior towards us as we were total strangers, but as soon as they got to know us better, they opened up and welcomed us into their community. The Nongbareh community spoke a different dialect, or rather a language unknown to many, understood only in the War Jaintia areas, different from the Jaintia dialect. Leave aside the Khasi language. According to a few scholars who have done their research, it seems that the language of Nongbareh and the War Jaintia area may contain elements of the origin of the Khasi language.
Nong amlarem usufu tin ne.
Kita ginang amaram kisah tu dak
Kamu ki bisutu tin lamin.
Ujo.
Kamu Nongbareh lamin kudengrem kudeng temai sobar nong talang
Our discussions with the leaders of the village were very productive, and we learned much about the unique social structure and culture. But to know more about these micro-civilizations and their way of life would require some valuable time spent living with them. We moved on with our guides towards the edge of the village from where the River trail begins. It's approximately more than an hour's descent to reach the river bank. The view from above revealed some of the most picturesque terrain. The river rushes downhill, generating a lot of turbulence in the rapids and creating the white water, which is ideal for river rafting. It is an adventure sports paradise, and all the elements that make this place an exclusive destination are there. The locals told me that during their grandfather's time, boats all the way from Bangladesh used to sail upstream from Dauki and Shnongpreng to pick up oranges, betel nut and betel leaf from the river bank below. That was a different time and space, and today the boatmen from downstream or even from Nongbareh would think twice before venturing the white waters of the The scene of the river like a snake meandering through the mountains and across the border to Bangladesh is vivid and impressive. Such a view is priceless, worth all the diamonds and gold. Awesome. We start the descent following the age-old megalithic trail to the river valley below. It is an interesting trek taking us through unique landscapes and waterscapes all along the way. Nature has blessed Nongbareh with an abundance of water and fertile soil that supports the growth of crops which are essential to the livelihood of the community. We trek the narrow trail, stopping at intervals to admire the scenery all around. It's not every day we get to see such beautiful scenery around us. As we trudged downhill, the land, seemingly inaccessible from afar, had a number of surprises for us.
We are on the way to River, which is about another 30 minutes from here. On the way, we have passed through this organic specimen of farming.
The organic method of slash and burn cultivation is practiced on the slopes, and plants like yam, tapioca, ginger, turmeric, cucumber, and other vegetables are grown. It's a clean environment. A symbiotic relationship between man and nature is evident in the sense that the endemic plant species are not wiped out but are preserved in a slash and burn ecosystem. Betel nut and betel leaf, besides broom grass, are the main crops cultivated for the market. The betel leaf is an amazing plant that requires specialized farmers to grow it. The Khasis are well known as experts in this field, and their skills are in high demand even across the border in Bangladesh. The betel leaf vine is a fine example of plant adaptation, and the way it grows is coded in its DNA. At regular intervals, the notes of the vine, with the help of clip-like structures, attaches itself to the stem or trunk of the tree for stability as it climbs to the top. It is an amazing display of the structure of an organism that has evolved over time and appears to be thinking and responsive to its surroundings. Nongbareh is blessed with a variety of fruits like jackfruit, bananas and citrus. After some time, the trail becomes steeper and we had to be careful in navigating the uneven, rugged terrain. The slippery moss-covered stone steps made the walk even more difficult. One wrong step or move can result in a serious bat fall all the way down, or it could even be fatal considering the height of the cliff. It was a steep drop and there were no signs of any landing place. But we were just halfway on our mission and we had to carry on and complete today's assignment, come what may. Finally, we reached our destination, the rootbridge, Jinking Jri Wa Rabangkla. It's a very steep, almost 90-degree approach to the bridge. Without the bamboo railings on one side for support, it would have been impossible to go down. At some places, I had to sit on the stone steps and drag myself down because it was very slippery. But we made it in one piece, and setting foot on another one of these rare, unique, organic Ficus bridges was a reason to celebrate. I take out my mobile phone and start shooting the video as I walk across to the other side. The bridge is definitely younger than the previous Jinking Ammosai in the middle of Nongbareh Village. The roots are young and still in the process of growing and expanding. A part of the roots which supports the bridge appears like a thickened branch suspended from the top. The stream originating from uphill is a rushing torrent, and it would have been impossible to get to the other side if not for human intervention. The building of the Ficus Bridge and the landscaping around it with rocks and stones preventing any landslip or rock slide is the only way to tame this kind of terrain.
So we've reached our second route bridge, Jinking Wa Rabangkla, and this is indeed a beautiful bridge. Without these bridges, it would have been impossible to navigate this terrain. It would have been impossible for them to make a livelihood in such terrain if not for these bridges. So this bridge is one of the backbone of the livelihood of the economy of the people of Nongbareh.
It's a strange, sublime feeling every time I encounter a root bridge in our travels. Thought remains and lingers, sometimes days and weeks after we leave the place. There is an aura about the place, coupled with a combination of the water, trees, roots and plants that makes it special. We decided not to trek all the way down to the River as it was getting late, so we started the climb back in the hope of catching up with other aspects of the village. There was still the cave, the ossuaries, and the fish sanctuary to explore. It was a long and hard climb for us, although the local farmer who was carrying betel leaf made it look easy. On reaching the village, we headed to a landmark that looked prehistoric and quite enigmatic. The Doir Core was a gateway which was erected at the time when the village was established. It was a sacred gateway, and it was believed by the villagers that it offered protection, a kind of security for the village against invaders and evil forces. Because of its importance, it was prohibited for anyone to sit on the flat stone of the gateway. Till today, the belief in the power of the Doir Core is strong, and the villagers are proud of their heritage and culture. Another feature of the cultural life of the villagers are the presence of the ossuaries or tombstones, where the bones of the dead are interred. Located on the outskirts of the village, besides the road, these stone artifacts are still used today by members of the indigenous religion. They are small stone structures that have evolved in shape and form through the ages. Some of the ossuaries are built like conical shaped monuments, while the rest resemble miniature houses resting on a rectangular or squarish stone base. The practice of interring the bones of the cremated is still practiced by the believers of the indigenous religion. Nongbareh is one of the oldest human habitation in this side of the Khasi Jaintia Hills, and the beliefs and values of the indigenous people are still preserved despite the onslaught of external belief systems. The cultural landscape is tangible in the folk tales, social norms and mores, and arts and crafts of the village. The river War Amlaye is central to Nongbareh as it flows through the middle of the village, lending its waters for recreation and utility to the villagers.
Nongbareh has a special feature in this river, War Amlaye. It just shows, it's evidence that people here live with nature. Evidently, this is a fish sanctuary which has been declared a fish sanctuary to preserve the fishes here. There's a strong belief in Nongbareh that anybody who gets ill, when they eat the fish from this river, they get well.
It is difficult for outsiders like us to entirely buy this story, but traditional beliefs are relevant to the people they belong to, no matter what scientific reasoning says. From War Amlaye, we move on to another natural landscape which is just next to the road. The Krem Amdiao cave is on the way to Kudangrim village, and it has some pretty interesting features within its dark chambers.
Just about a kilometer south of Nongbareh village, there's a cave, Diao. And this is a cave which has a river system. Let's go and see inside what it has in store for us.
There is a small opening of an entrance that leads to a narrow passage. On looking into the interior of the cave, the background appears quite dark, and an ill-defined twilight only appears after we switch on our lights. But on the surface of the rocks in the cave, innumerable golden green points of light sparkle and gleam, so that it might be imagined that small emeralds had been scattered over the ground. Our senses remain alert to the sound of water flowing inside the wet surface, but the gold-green luminescent moss, also known as goblin gold or dragon gold, grabs our attention. The moss has adapted to grow in low light conditions, collecting and concentrating even the faintest light. If one picks up the luminous moss, one would find only a handful of rusty earth.
So we've just entered some distance inside the cave, and you can see it has a very narrow entrance, but you can hear the roaring water inside, deep inside. And you can see that inside the cave, the water has carved this cave in such a way that this is a sandstone cave, and the best time to visit this cave is probably in the winter, because now it's too slippery to go inside.
Deeper inside, the silken strands like necklace appear quite distinctly when our light hit the dark recesses. These silken strands belong to a unique insect, the glowworm, which hangs them from the ceiling of the cave and glows to attract unsuspecting prey. We leave the spectacle of Krem Amdiao to proceed towards the health sub-center at Nongbareh to get a better understanding of the reach of governance in this remote village. We find that the basic facilities are still lacking.
If you look at this approach road, it's full of water, and this is the state of affairs in most of the villages. And the remoteness of this place probably is something which is very elusive, because you cannot monitor such places. It will take a while before Nongbareh gets a full-fledged medical center which can cater to the sick and the needy here.
Much to everyone's dissatisfaction, the gates of the health sub-center are closed. This in a way symbolizing the end of our journey today in this beautiful village.
Behind me you can see the vast landscape expanse of Bangladesh. We've come to the end of our visit here in Nongbareh, and it's been quite an experience to get a feel of the place, a feel of the root bridges, of the culture here. Until we meet again in another village.